In this video, we're going to look at matrices, and to start it off, let's define what is a matrix. So a matrix is a rectangular array of numbers or letters consisting of m rows and n columns enclosed in a pair of curved or square brackets and is denoted by a capital letter. So you have an example here where you have the matrix. Before I added the row and column, the matrix A was A, B, C, D. So it's either in a curved bracket or sometimes you see it in a square bracket. Now, it's a rectangular array of numbers, but there's one called the square matrix, which would be a 2x2 matrix or a 3x3 matrix, right? Now, if you notice here, they said that it consists of m rows and n columns. And when you look here, you're going to see we have rows, and when you look down here, you're going to have columns. So rows is horizontal and column is vertical. So let me just mark it off here. So these are the rows. So you have 2 rows, and these are the columns, right? So you have 2 columns as well here. So you should be able to identify or say what is a row, what is a column, and identify how many rows and how many columns each matrix is made up of. The next thing we have to look at is the order of a matrix. The order of a matrix consisting of m rows and n columns is m by n. That is m by n. So you say it as m by n. So m is rows and n is columns. So let's look at these 3 here. So if you look here, we have 1 row, 2 row, but we have 1 column. So it's m rows and n columns. So how many rows we have? We have 2 rows, and how many columns we have? 1. So this is a 2x1 matrix. If we look at this one, you have 1 row, 2 rows. So this is going to be a 2 by, we have 1 column, 2 column, 3 columns. So this is a 2x3 matrix. And if you look at this one, we have 1, 2, 3 rows. So that's going to be a 3 by, and we have 1 column. So this is a 3x1 matrix. So to identify the order of a matrix, it is the number of rows by the number of column. So this is a 2x1, this is a 2x3, and this is a 3x1. The other thing we have to look at is the elements of a matrix. So if you look here, we have the matrix A equals A, B, C, D. And I have 6 questions on the board. Now, remember this is row 1. And this is row 2. This is column 1. And this is column 2. So if they ask you to identify the element that is in row 1, column 2, then you have to look at row 1 and column 2, right? So the element that is in row 1, column 2 would be this element, and that is B. Row 2, column 1. So we go to row 2, which is here. Column 1 is here. So where column 1 and row 2 intersect, that would be C. R1, row 1, column 1. So this is row 1. This is column 1. So the element we're looking at is A. Row 2, column 2. So this is row 2, column 2. The element we're looking at is D. Now that's if they gave you as row 1 column. But let's say they ask you, they give it in words. So the first element in the second column. So column 1, column 2, the first element in the second column is going to be B. So this answer is B. And the second element in the second column, again the second column, this is the first element, this becomes the second element. So the answer here would be D. So it depends on how they ask you the question. If they gave you it as row 1, column 2, or if they gave you as a word, you should be able to identify the elements in the given matrix. And remember that the order of the matrix is the rows by column. So you count how many rows we have, and then we check how many columns we have, and we write it as row multiplied by column, but we read it as row by column. So it's going to be like a 2 by 1, a 2 by 3, or a 3 by 1. Alright, so we're now going to look at addition and subtraction of matrices. And a point to note when adding and subtracting matrices or matrix is that we can only add and subtract matrix with the same order. That means we could only add and subtract a 2 by 2 with another 2 by 2, or a 3 by 3 with another 3 by 3. We cannot subtract a 2 by 1 or add a 2 by 1 with a 2 by 2, right? So the order must be the same. And if you notice here, we have 2 columns, 2 rows, so this is a 2 by 2. 2 columns, 2 rows, so there's another 2 by 2. So the first question is to add a plus b. So we set it down as 3, 4, 2, 6 plus b, which is negative 2, 4, negative 1, 3. Now what happens is that we're going to add identical elements. So this first element is going to be added to this first element. So we have 3 plus negative 2. Then we have 4 plus 4. Then we have 2 plus negative 1. And then we have 6 plus 3. 3 plus negative 2 is going to give me 1. 4 plus 4 is going to give me 8. 2 plus negative 1 is going to give me 1. And 6 plus 3 is going to give me 9. So a plus b, the answer is 1, 8, 1, 9. Now the second one, we have a plus a, and that is you're adding this to itself. So a is 3, 4, 2, 6 plus 3, 4, 2, 6. Again, first element with the first element, so that's going to be 3 plus 3, 4 plus 4, 2 plus 2, and 6 plus 6. That's going to give me 3 plus 3 is 6, 4 plus 4 is 8, 2 plus 2 is 4, and 6 plus 6 is 12. So the answer for a plus a is 6, 8, 4, 12. We'll put a line here so that you get the separations. Then the third one, it's a minus b. So we have to write a, which is going to be 3, 4, 2, 6 minus b, which is negative 2, 4, negative 1, 3. Again, elements with elements is going to be 3 minus negative 2, 3 minus negative 2, 4 minus 4, 2 minus negative 1, and 6 minus 3. Working this out, I would get 2 minus negative 2. Negative 2 becomes a plus. So you're going to have 3 plus 2, which is 5. 4 minus 4 is 0. 2 minus 1 is going to give me 3. And 6 minus 3 is going to give me 3. So this is how you add and subtract matrix. So remember, the order must be the same in order for you to add or subtract. And when you're adding or subtracting, you're going element to element. So first element, first element in the first row added to the first element in the first row of the second matrix, and so on. So remember that part. When you're adding and subtracting, we can only add and subtract matrix with the same order. We're now going to go to matrix multiplication, but before we head to matrix multiplication, let's look at scalar multiplication first. So scalar multiplication is if you're given the matrix A equals A, B, C, D, then with scalar multiplication, you're taking a constant and multiplying it by the matrix. And if you have a constant multiplied by the matrix, you have K times A, which is give me KA, K times B, which will give me KB, K times C, which is going to give me KC, and K times D, which is going to give me KD. Where K is a constant, so K could be any number given to you, right? Now, an example here, given A equals 4, 8, 7, 2, find the first one, which is 2A. So the constant given here is 2, so that's going to be 2 multiplied by the matrix A, which is 4, 8, 7, 2. And that's going to be 2 times 4, 2 times 8, 2 times 7, and 2 times 2. and that's going to be 2 4s 8, 2 8s 16, 2 7s 14, and 2 2s 4. Now let's say you have half of A, right? That means you're going to take A and you're going to multiply it by a half. So let me put this in the corner here. So you have a half A. A is 4, that's going to be a half multiplied by 4, 8, 7, 2. A half times 4, that's going to be 4 divided by 2. A half times 8 is going to be 8 divided by 2. A half times 7 is going to be 7 divided by 2. And a half times 2 is going to be 2 divided by 2. Working this out, I would get 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 7 divided by 2, we leave it as 7 over 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So your answer is 2472. Now you have some questions that they could give you, so let's try another one. Let's say they ask you what is 2A plus a half A. All right, remember we already worked what is 2A, we already worked what is a half A, but let's just look at this one for now. So we already found what is 2A, and 2A is 8, 16, 14, 4. So that's going to be 8, 16, 14, and 4, plus a half A is 2, 4, 7 over 2, and 1. 2, 4, 7 halves, and 1. Adding them, I would have 8 plus 2, then 16 plus 4, then 14 plus 7 over 2, and then 4 plus 1. This would be equals to 8 plus 2 is 10, 16 plus 4 is 20, this would be 14 plus 7 halves. So if you have 14 and you're going to break it into halves, then you're going to have 28. 14 whole into halves is going to give me 28. 28 plus 7 is going to give me 35. So you're going to have 35 over 2. And then 4 plus 1 is going to give me 5. So 2A plus a half A is 10, 20, 35 over 2, and 5. So this is how they would give you the question sometimes. They give you one matrix, or sometimes they give you two matrices, and they ask you to find the answer when you multiply it by a scale, and then sometimes you have to add them or subtract them or so on. So it's just simple manipulations to get your answers. So just follow these steps and you should be okay. Now matrix multiplication. Given A equals 2375 and B equals 7324, find A times B. Now, remember when we did addition and subtraction of matrices, we could have only added or subtracted a matrix with the same order. But when it comes to matrix multiplication, we don't need the same order to multiply. We could multiply matrix or matrices with different order. Now, when multiplying matrix, it's row by column, and I'm just going to show you the example of how we do this. So we have A times B, that is going to be 2375 multiplied by 7324. Now, when I was going to school, there was this method my math teacher taught me, and I still use it today because it's pretty simple. Back then, we had a robbery at the bank in Essequibo, and the guys used a boat and they attacked the bank. So they came with 2 boats, right? And the bank had 2 buildings. So you have 1 building and you have 2 buildings. So right away you see we already have rows and we already have columns, right? So what happened is that the first boat came and they had 2 men inside, and the first one went upstairs and robbed, and the second one went downstairs. So the first one robbed upstairs, and that's going to be 2 times 7, and the second one robbed downstairs, which is going to be 3 times 2, and they add up how much they got. Then they went to the second building again. The first one robbed upstairs, which is going to be 2 times 3, and the second one went downstairs, and that's going to be 3 times 4, and then they add up how much they get. So the first boat finished with both buildings. Now the second boat come, the first one go upstairs and the second one go downstairs again. So the first one going upstairs is going to be 7 times 7 plus the second one going downstairs is 5 times 2, and they add up how much they stole, and then they go to the second building. The first one went upstairs, that's going to be 7 times 3, and then the second one go downstairs 5 times 4, and then they add up how much they took. Now this is the multiplication part finished there, so let's start simplifying. So 2 times 7 is going to give me 14 plus 3 to 6, 2 3s 6 plus 3 4s 12, 7 7s 49 plus 5 2s 10, and 7 3s 21 plus 5 4s 20. Good, so 14 plus 6 is going to give me 20, 6 plus 12 is going to give me 20, 49 plus 10 is going to give me 59, and 21 plus 20 is going to give me 41. So your answer is 20, 20, 59, 41. And remember, that's how you multiply matrix. It's row by column. So you work row to the first row to the first column, then the first row to the second column, the second row to the first column, and then the second row to the second column, and then you try, and then you simplify. I'm going to do another part to this so that you could see another example. So another example you have there is a square. Now a square simply means a multiplied by a, right? So that means we're multiplying this matrix by itself. So that's going to be 2 3 7 5 multiplied by 2 3 7 5. Again, row, so these are our boats, and then you have the columns, right? So first one upstairs, second one downstairs. That's going to be 2 times 2 plus 3 times 7. First one upstairs, second one downstairs. 2 times 3 plus 3 times 5. Second boat, first one upstairs, second one downstairs. 7 times 2 plus 5 times 7. Second building, first one upstairs, second one downstairs. 7 times 3 plus 5 times 5. And we could start simplify. 2 2s 4 plus 7 3 7s 21. 2 3s 6 plus 3 5s 15. Then 7 2s 14 plus 7 5s 35. And then 7 3s 21 plus 5 5s 25. So 21 plus 4 is 25. 15 plus 6 is 21. 35 plus 14, that's going to be 45, 49. And 25 plus 21 is going to give me 46. So a square is 25, 21, 49, 46. So to wrap up today's lesson, we first defined what is a matrix, and we said that a matrix is a rectangular array of numbers consisting of rows and column, and a matrix is denoted by capital letters, and it's either in a curved bracket or a square bracket. Then we looked at the order of a matrix, which is row by column. So you check the number of rows we have, and then you check the number of columns we have, and then you say row by column or row times column with the multiplication sign in the middle. We looked at addition and subtraction, where we said that we could only add and subtract matrices with the same order, and we're adding and subtracting element to element corresponding elements. We looked at scalar multiplication, which is a constant being multiplied to a matrix. It could be a whole number, it could be a fraction, it could even be a negative number. And then we looked at matrix multiplication, where in order to solve this, it's row, you multiply row by column, first row by first row, first row to first column, then first row to second column, second row to first column, and then second row to second column, and then you simplify to get your answers.